The IKEA Winter Sale finalmente llegó. Get ready to cozy up la casa for less. Con descuentos de hasta el 50% en una gran variedad de productos, IKEA te ofrece todo lo que necesitas para crear un ambiente acogedor y lleno de estilo para tus invitados en Navidad. Y si realizas una compra superior a $299, el envío es completamente gratis hasta el 10 de diciembre. Así podrás relajarte y disfrutar de las fiestas sin preocuparte. Además, si eres miembro de IKEA Loyalty, obtienes un descuento adicional del 10% en los artículos en oferta. Es como si los Reyes Magos hubieran decidido adelantar sus regalos. Esta oferta es por tiempo limitado, así que no pierdas la oportunidad de sorprender a tus invitados sin gastar de más. Visítanos hoy mismo en ikea-usa.com/Winter Sale o en tu tienda local y no te pierdas The IKEA Winter Sale. Válido hasta el 10 de diciembre, solo en USA hasta agotar existencias. La selección puede variar según la tienda y en línea. Consulta la tienda o ikea-usa.com/Winter Sale para más detalles. Aplican restricciones.
Bienvenidos a Esto Violentoso Macabro Podcast. Yo soy Ali.
Y yo soy Dee.
Y hoy Dee nos contará de un caso que sucedió en Moreno Valley, California.
The disappearance of 17-year-old Norma Lopez sent shockwaves through the Inland Empire in July 2010. She vanished without a trace while walking home from summer school, leaving her loved ones desperate for answers. Her friends and family retraced her steps, only to uncover the chilling remains of her school binder, her purse, and a broken earring. For a decade, the case remained a haunting mystery. Then, after 10 agonizing years, her family finally learned the truth. This is the tragic case of Norma
Advertencia.
Lopez.
La información de este caso puede ser desencadenante para algunos. Tenga en cuenta que algunos de estos casos pueden involucrar menores de edad, abuso, violación o violencia. Escuchen con precaución.
Warning: the information on this case can be triggering to some. Please be advised that some of these cases may involve children, abuse, rape, and violence. Listen with caution.
Te queremos mucho, nomás queremos que estés aquí con nosotros.
Y espero que estés mirando esto y te comuniques con nosotros lo más pronto que sea posible. I love you, mija.
I don't want anybody to go through this, but why her? She had never done anything to anyone. My mom was heartbroken since the first day. She couldn't sleep, she couldn't eat. She just wished she could have done something.
First and foremost, I want to give a big thanks to Annette for bringing this case to our attention. Until Annette brought it up, I really didn't have much of information on this case. So knowing what happened and being from Southern California made me feel like it was important to share this case, especially because I had no idea what was happening. I had no idea about what came about it and when it was resolved. So thank you so much to Annette for letting us know about this case. Norma Angelica Lopez was born on December 29th, 1992 in West Covina, California, to Martin and Norma Lopez. She was the middle child of 6 siblings. She was bubbly, happy, and a beautiful teenager. She was very friendly and had many friends. And she was also an avid dancer and was aspiring to be a fashion designer. Her family recalls her as being a very hard-working teenager. She was very dedicated to her studies, and for that reason, she was trying to pursue a higher education as quickly as she could. Norma had aspirations for attending college in the upcoming year. and she was so eager that she decided to head start on completing her high school diploma. Norma was going to have extra classes during the summer in order for her to put her education, to top tier, to graduate in order for her to go to college. On July 15, 2010, she attended summer school at Valley View High School, where she was enrolled in a biology course. After class, Norma planned to visit her friend's house to meet up with her sister and her other friends, which is something that they typically did during the summer. As soon as summer school was over, they would go to somebody's house and just hang out. And according to court testimony, this routine was very common. So she would take the specific route from Valley View High School to her friend's house pretty much all throughout the week. The Los Angeles Daily News reported that Norma usually walked this path with her boyfriend at the time. However, on this particular day, he was running late. He was going to stay a little bit longer in school, so she decided to take the route on her own since, he was taking longer than usual. According to court testimony, Norma was supposed to arrive at the house, her friend's house, at 10 a.m. But 10 a.m. rolled around and Norma was taking a long time. According to Norma's sister, Norma's route took her south on Creekside and then east on Quail Creek Drive, then south again onto Mill Creek Road before crossing an open field towards Cottonwood Avenue. Neighbors noted that many of the local high school students would take this path as a shortcut to get from one place of the road to another, which is usually the path that Norma took. And if you're, aware of like the Inland Empire and Ontario and Moreno Valley, there's big lots of like empty fields. So her plan was that instead of going around the block in order to go to the neighborhood, she would just cross the path from one side to the other. During this path, it was just a field with a few trees here and there. So she was like, no big issue. She walked that road all the time. So she was like, it's no big deal. It was fine. But on July 15th, Norma never arrived to her friend's house. After waiting for hours, Sonia, Norma's sister, and their friends grew very concerned that it was very unlike Norma to be late. So they decided to retrace Norma's steps in hopes of finding her or to understand what happened and why did she come to the house. According to Sonia, when they reached the field, they discovered Norma's school binder, her purse, and a broken earring scattered on the ground. But there was no sign of Norma. Overwhelmed with worry, Sonia later recounted having a gut feeling that something had terribly gone wrong. The family reported Norma missing and began passing out flyers and did everything they could to get Norma's face out into the public. However, on July 20th, 2010, 5 days later, after Norma was reported missing, a resident was driving in a tractor mower in the large remote field when he came across human remains. According to court document, the decomposed body was shirtless and had clad jeans, and she was face down in the ground next to the grove of olive trees. So the place where the body was covered in just olive trees. So you really couldn't see her body from the sky or from the side of the road. It was like kind of buried like in a ditch. Due to the intense heat, her body was badly decomposed, and authorities couldn't determine a cause of death. The medical examiner could only speculate that Norma had most likely died of strangulation or asphyxiation. Authorities reached out to the Lopez family and alerted them about the human remains and asked for Norma's dental record since the body was badly decomposed. Later on that day, they made a positive match and confirmed that the body was of 17-year-old Norma Lopez. At around 2 p.m. on July 21st, 2010, authorities held a press conference determining that the body that was found was of Norma. And they also announced that they had a $35,000 reward for information leading up to the arrest, or information that leads up to the arrest of whoever murdered Norma. This pretty much became a constant investigation. Both the family and authorities were on a mission to find Norma's killer. They kept, having either flyer events or vigils, anything to keep Norma's name out in the news. Even a year after her murder, they kept talking about Norma and trying to find who did this to her. During this time period, the Inland Empire also was very terrified of what happened because they didn't know who did this, if this person would attack again, and if they were even safe in their own community.
Pero era algo como planeado, por lo que yo sé, a lo mejor vas a hablar más de eso, pero por como lo estás explicando, what a coincidence que el día que el novio no andaba con ella,
it's the day that she goes missing. Yeah. So, I'll go into detail on what the authorities had speculated about it, but everybody also thought it was kind of odd that this happened the day that she wasn't with her boyfriend.
Yeah.
And that's why even like Norma's sisters and friends made like a video to kind of raise awareness to other teenagers and other young people in the community to tell them, don't walk alone, because they were so terrified that this would happen again. So they decided to do the buddy system. And even in the school, the first day back at school, the principal and the teachers and every staff within the Valley View High School, they created awareness about, not to walk alone, to have carpool, to just be very aware. They even had volunteers come to the school and like throughout the routes around the high school to make sure that this wouldn't happen again.
Yeah.
Luckily, nothing ever occurred even a year after Norma's murder. However, on September 2011, a little over a year after Norma's body was found, DNA was lifted from one of Norma's earrings, as well as Norma's body, and they passed it through the combined DNA index system, or CODIS as it's known, to find a match. Luckily, a match was detected, and a person was identified to be 35-year-old Jessie Perez Torres.
The IKEA Winter Sale finalmente llegó. Get ready to cozy up la casa for less. Con descuentos de hasta el 50% en una gran variedad de productos, IKEA te ofrece todo lo que necesitas para crear un ambiente acogedor y lleno de estilo para tus invitados en Navidad. Y si realizas una compra superior a $299, el envío es completamente gratis hasta el 10 de diciembre. Así podrás relajarte y disfrutar de las fiestas sin preocuparte. Además, si eres miembro de IKEA Loyalty, obtienes un descuento adicional del 10% en los artículos en oferta. Es como si los Reyes Magos hubieran decidido adelantar sus regalos. Esta oferta es por tiempo limitado, así que no pierdas la oportunidad de sorprender a tus invitados sin gastar de más. Visítanos hoy mismo en ikea-usa.com/Winter Sale o en tu tienda local y no te pierdas The IKEA Winter Sale. Válido hasta el 10 de diciembre, solo en USA hasta agotar existencias. La selección puede variar según la tienda y en línea. Consulta la tienda o ikea-usa.com/Winter Sale para más detalles. Aplican restricciones.
Well, when authorities ran through the record, this person had no criminal record. He had no previous accusation, nothing of those sorts. However, they found it confusing on why his DNA was in the system. And it turns out that he did have one previous assault case, and they bring it up during trial. Thanks to the DNA, they had enough evidence to arrest Jesse Perez Torres. According to the Orange County Register, Jesse lived in the same neighborhood where Norma's friend lived. The assumption is that Jesse would watch Norma walk the route and waited until she was walking that same path alone. Neighbors stated that Jesse lived with his wife and 2 children and generally kept to himself. Helena Silva, Jesse's next-door neighbor, told the Orange County Registry, quote, That was the weird part. He left really quickly. She also recalls him acting quote-unquote creepy and mentioned that he would come and go from his house at odd hours. According to the same article, Jesse's family had been gone for a while before he decided to move out. On April 2011, he began selling his belongings and mentioning that he was going to relocate to Arizona. However, Jesse ended up moving back to Long Beach where he had family and left Moreno Valley.
Wow, ni se trató de esconder. I mean,
No.
qué bueno,
Yeah.
pero él pensó que nunca lo iban a agarrar.
Yeah, I mean,
Because he was like 2 hours away.
Yeah, exactly. But he also, the fact that there was no real evidence or
Mhm.
anybody that actually saw him or knew that he was around the area or had any connections to Norma, it was very hard for anything to come about, like what happened to her.
Yeah,
So-
he thought he had made the perfect crime.
He
He
did.
was like, I'm good, they're not gonna catch me.
Yeah, if he literally, if he hadn't done the next few things that I'm going to talk about, he would have literally not been caught. Court
That's good,
record.
huh?
I know.
Good. It's a good feeling when they make mistakes, huh?
Yeah, it is, because then crimes are solved.
Yeah.
And cold cases are solved, and there's peace for the family, and there's justice for the victims. Court records revealed that Jesse was previously charged with a felony spousal abuse, assault, and criminal threats. However, the case was dismissed since his wife failed to appear in court. Disturbing details emerged about how Jesse's DNA ended up on CODIS. A woman testified in court saying that years earlier he had attacked her, forcing her into his car at knife point, taking her home and assaulting her. Prosecutors revealed that the police had uncovered photos of victims tied up naked, and they argued that Jesse abducted Norma after his wife left him, and during this point in time he was struggling with his depression and he was heavily drinking. So basically saying that due to his divorce, due to the assault that came about, this was kind of his way of kind of relieving those urges in a way, which is dumb for me because it still makes no sense to me on
Right.
why you would do that to a teenage girl.
Okay, you're depressed, estás triste. Get it. Pero para hacer algo así, there's no excuses.
Yeah. They also suggested that he was watching Norma and following her as she went about her daily routine. So instead of just saying that she was just a random person that he decided to assault, that he was actually stalking her in a way and just watching her every move, because he knew what time she was coming out of school, where she was crossing path, and the fact that she wasn't with her boyfriend that day. So it almost made it seem like he was being a very like a predator and just watching, keeping a close eye on her.
Porque estaba muy bien planeado
Exactly.
para que le saliera todo bien, en quotation marks. Like, lo tenía bien planeado. he knew where she was walking. She knew she was going to be alone. Like, it wasn't like a, que él pasó en su carro y la miró and like, oh, I'm going to take her. Like, no, it was really well planned.
Yeah, everything was perfectly done to the point that there was something that just didn't seem like it was just at random.
Right.
And it's not something that would happen to just any random person. He was keeping a close eye on her. Jessie Perez Torres was arrested by Moreno Valley Police on October 2011 in Long Beach, California, in suspicion of murder and kidnapping and to commit rape. He was booked and his bail was set at $1 million. One of the biggest challenges when it came to Norma's case is that they needed strong evidence to support on their theory that Jessie committed the murder. Additionally, the frequent changes between defense and prosecutors just signified even more delays when it came to the trial, resulting in the case taking 8 years to finally reach trial in 2019.
Wow.
I know. So mostly because his attorneys were saying that there wasn't enough strong evidence and the DNA was quote unquote misused during the extraction, that there was other people's DNA in that same, clothes or earrings during the time of discovery, that it wasn't valid. So that's why they were like, the evidence of DNA isn't strong enough for you to prosecute Jessie in this trial. Even though the prosecutors determined that there was just his DNA was everywhere.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I know they're doing their job, and I get it, porque han visto muchas personas desafortunadamente que son condenados when it wasn't them.
Yeah.
I get they're trying to do their job like the lawyers, but a veces me pongo a pensar, how do these lawyers que están al lado del perpetrator, how do they sleep at night?
I know.
Like, knowing that they have to represent them.
It's very tough, especially with this case also, because even though there was DNA evidence about this, and even though he had this previous accusation, he still had people in his corner talking about his good character when it came to his trial. And most of those people were his family. And trying to, say like he was a good, brother. He was, he stopped everyone from fighting. He encouraged us to go to school. Like all these other things. And a lot of the times they say, it's just a matter of taking the case and wanting a challenge or trying to find the good in people on why they do it. But at the same time, it's very difficult because you're just like, how can you prove DNA, in this type of situation?
Right. Yeah, a veces they don't have a choice. Right? Yeah. Like, so they're just like, oh, you're assigned this case and here, and sometimes it's not even about defending them. It's like trying to find ¿cómo se dice? Like a plea deal or anything like that, right? It's not always like they're defending them, but
it's trying to reduce the sentence.
Yeah. Sometimes they're like kind of forced.
Yeah.
Here's the case.
And I feel like that's one of those things that we kind of have to talk to. Like, if we ever had a chance, we would have to talk to a lawyer and be like, how do you know when you want to, do this or do that, or like,
can you say no?
Yeah, like, can you say no? Oh. Yeah, I think it's one of those difficult situations where you're placed between following your career path or having to, work, for the other team, basically.
Yeah, sí, porque imagino que si tienen su propia oficina, they can choose what case they want to take. But if they work for someone else, they gotta do whatever they tell them. Like, and it's at that point, if they're like, I don't want to take this, and
then it's your job on the
line, get fired, basically. Right? But it's like when you're working for someone else and that other person's telling you, no, you got to take this case.
Yeah,
it's hard.
It's definitely hard.
Yeah.
On March 2019, Norma's case finally went to trial. So this was like almost 8 years or so before it actually went into trial. Jesse's attorney argued that multiple DNA samples were found in Norma's earrings and suggested that Jesse was an easy target because he lived near the crime scene. They also said that they introduced evidence that Jesse had an intellectual disability, which under Supreme Court ruling would make him ineligible for the death penalty, as it's inhumane to execute individuals with such disabilities. So basically, they were trying to get the death penalty off of the table. However, Riverside County Deputy District Attorney Kevin Beecham presented a compelling argument to the jurors, saying, quote, "The DNA is the most important evidence in this case. It is the most damning evidence we have. He left his DNA all over her. Her pants, her purse, earrings, it all points to the same person. It's too coincidental to be coincidence." Another crucial piece of evidence that was found was surveillance footage from a security camera near Valley View High School, capturing the last image of Norma alive. The footage shows a green SUV cruising slowly into the direction she was walking. Less than 5 minutes later, the same vehicle was seen speeding away from the area. According to court documents, Jesse owned a green Nissan Xterra at the time, which is also classified as an SUV. So basically, they're just saying that there was a car that looked exactly like his at the time, that same time, at that same place.
Everything's pointing at him.
Yeah.
Towards.
On December 4th, 2020, now 44-year-old Jesse Perez Torres was convicted of first-degree murder. Jurors also found that the murder occurred during the kidnapping of Norma, making it a felony. Jesse showed no emotion as he heard his verdict. A week later, they sentenced Jesse to death. Riverside County Superior Court Judge Bernard J. Schwartz said, quote, "The killing of Norma Lopez and the dumping of her body like a piece of garbage can only be described as disgusting. The defendant displayed an utter disregard for human life as a threat to society. No question about that." At the sentence hearing, Norma's sister read a letter from the family. In the letter, Norma's mother said, quote, "I took Norma to school that day, not knowing it was the last time I will ever see her again. That's the day this nightmare started. Without Norma, my house is filled with pain and sadness. In my house, there is no happiness like how it was when Norma was here. Everywhere in the house, there was laughter and happiness. It was beautiful, but that all ended the day Norma did not return home to us." Norma's sister told the judge, quote, "They say that time heals everything, but it doesn't. We just had to learn how to go on with our lives and live with the pain, even though it isn't easy to do. Even though she isn't with us physically, I know she's always with us. There was never a day that goes by where I don't think about Norma." Norma left a long-lasting impact on the Moreno Valley community through her dreams of becoming a fashion designer and pursuing higher education were tragically cut short. Her influence and the hearts she touched throughout the Southern California remained undeniable. Our thoughts are with the Lopez family and friends who are still continuing to mourn the loss of Norma. This is a tragic case of Norma Lopez.
Who would do this and why would he do this? What is the motive behind him? What did she do to him, you know?
My heart has been broken in pieces. Knowing that I'm the oldest sister and I couldn't do anything to stop this. For this evil person to do something like this to my younger little sister.
And that was the case for this week. I hope that we do justice to this case. Not a lot of information was given when it came to interviews of the family or her friends. It was very kind of just what we can find. The main resource that I did find was the Press Enterprise and I think the AP Archives. Those two were the main articles and videos that I found on YouTube about Norma and her family and everything that was up to date on her case. There was very little to no information. So I know that this case is a little bit on the older side, and some of the resource might not be there because, of time or whatever, but we do hope that if you are interested in the case, learning more about the case, our resources will be linked in the description below, as well as, your own research if you want to go ahead and look it up. It's a very tragic case, and I'm unbelievably touched by the Moreno Valley community and how they came together for Norma and for her family, as well as for the high school. A lot of these teenagers
brincaron todos a proteger a los demás.
Yeah, a lot of these teenagers were like very aware of the situation and were very on board to help one another when it came to this tragic death, since they didn't know what was going on or what happened, or if this person was going to do something to the rest of their classmates. So the fact that they jumped on it was really fantastic and very admirable.
Y alguien que hace algo así, it's a high chance that they're gonna do it again.
Exactly. I mean, even through the court testimonies, when we saw that, he had already previously attacked somebody,
Right.
and we don't know if he had done it before that person or after
Exactly.
that person. And even in when the ex-wife was, she basically accused him of domestic abuse and assaulting and, being very aggressive towards her. So it just shows that he had a pattern. Regardless of any circumstances, he had a pattern.
Wait, sorry, I was gonna ask you, did they do an assessment to see if he had a learning? No, it wasn't a learning disability. No, it was a.
It was not a learning disability. They just said that his IQ was at 58, I think, and that his reading levels were really low. But they said that it's very conflicting because it's not that he wasn't intelligent, it's just that he didn't have the capability of understanding what he was doing, basically. That's what the court was saying.
Oh, sorry, not a learning disability, an intellectual disability.
Yes, an intellectual disability.
Yeah.
So it was more of a him not understanding. But what they were saying is that he could, maybe he does have a low IQ, maybe he doesn't read or understand or anything. He's like, but they were like, he is
what he was doing.
Yeah, but he was also a welder, so he had to do his welding exam, and he passed that in the first try without any assessment. So they found it pretty odd that even though he had very low IQ, very low reading levels, that he still had the capability of becoming a welder and becoming an employee in that field and hold his career. So they were like, it's pretty odd to be concerned that he had this intellectual disability and also hold himself accountable for his job and his well-being. So it's it's very complex sometimes, but you can definitely see that there's a lot of plots to the story, that there's like a lot of holes in it. And because right before even recording this case, I had came across where the police were actually accusing an assistant, a teacher assistant that lived near the high school, and he had the same kind of vehicle and everything, but his DNA never appeared in the earrings or anything. So it was hard for them to narrow it down to be that person. But at the same time, it's like I feel like the police and the family were very very involved in the case, so they made sure to get the right person, and I truly feel that they did. But anyways, if you want to learn more about this case, definitely send us a message, or just type in on Google, Norma Lopez Moreno Valley or Jesse Perez Torres. Just use different keywords and you'll find the full articles. I had to go through a few and found here and there a few stuff, but definitely a very complex case. But overall, I'm very proud of the community and what they did for Norma and they did for her family, because even though the family and her siblings were very strong during this whole process, you can tell that the community really came together for them, and to see that happen and so effortlessly was very beautiful. So I just wanted to let you guys know about that. But if you're interested in listening to the rest of our 130 episodes, cases or episodes that we have covered, just type in Desapareció podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and wherever you can stream podcasts, and we will be there with our whole catalog. You can also watch our episodes, well, some of our episodes, not all of them. You can watch some of them on YouTube. Just type in Desapareció podcast on YouTube, and we should have the video format of this case. And usually take 1 or 2 days, right? Or a couple of days before it's uploaded on YouTube. So you can check us out on YouTube. And I think that's about it where you can stream this episode. Anything else? Am I forgetting anything? No? Okay. If you want to get a hold of us, if you want to talk about this case, if you want to talk to each other about this case, or if you want to, ask us anything or have any recommendations or any suggestions, you can reach us out on our social media platforms. We have Twitter, or X as it's known now, Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, and I think that's it.
And Snapchat. I'm kidding.
No, not Snapchat. You can find us on all of those 5 different platforms as at @SVSM_podcast, or you can find us on Facebook as Desapareció podcast. Just type it in the search bar and we should pop up. I think that's about it. Yeah. Or you can just go to linktree.com/Desapareció podcast, and all of our socials will be on the very top of that website thing. Sorry, sometimes it's becoming complicated to say all of that in one breath. But yeah, that's about it. Anything else? I feel like I'm forgetting something. No.
I think that's it.
I think that's pretty much it. Unless I'm forgetting something, then let us know. But so far, that's it.
We covered everything.
Yeah, it's getting closer to the holiday season, which means my brain starts to go to mush because work is getting complicated, as sure as I think it is for you. So,
The holidays are always complicated.
Yeah, so if you want to, send us photos of your pets dressed up in elf costumes or Christmas attire, that would be fantastic. I really love to see that. I know that my girls are going to dress up really cute outfits this upcoming season, so I'm excited for that. If you have any sort of recommendations on what you want us to research, what you want us to cover, please let us know.
I thought you were going to say if you have any
recommendations
on what to dress up as,
or that too. I'm not gonna lie.
For the next 3 weeks, we're gonna dress up as something in every episode.
I don't know if I can do that, but okay.
Okay, one.
Okay, one for sure. But yeah, I think that's about it, unless I'm forgetting something.
No, we're good.
All right, cool. So for now, have a great holiday weekend. I hope you guys are doing something fun, and we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Yeah. It always feels so awkward saying bye.
I know. It's what do we say? Okay.
What do we say? Yes. Adios.
Bye. Stay spooky.
Stay spooky.
Bye.
The IKEA Winter Sale finalmente llegó. Get ready to cozy up la casa for less. Con descuentos de hasta el 50% en una gran variedad de productos, IKEA te ofrece todo lo que necesitas para crear un ambiente acogedor y lleno de estilo para tus invitados en Navidad. Y si realizas una compra superior a $299, el envío es completamente gratis hasta el 10 de diciembre. Así podrás relajarte y disfrutar de las fiestas sin preocuparte. Además, si eres miembro de IKEA Loyalty, obtienes un descuento adicional del 10% en los artículos en oferta. Es como si los Reyes Magos hubieran decidido adelantar sus regalos. Esta oferta es por tiempo limitado, así que no pierdas la oportunidad de sorprender a tus invitados sin gastar de más. Visítanos hoy mismo en ikea-usa.com/Winter Sale o en tu tienda local y no te pierdas The IKEA Winter Sale. Válido hasta el 10 de diciembre, solo en USA hasta agotar existencias. La selección puede variar según la tienda y en línea. Consulta la tienda o ikea-usa.com/Winter Sale para más detalles. Aplican restricciones.